You may have heard the term the ABCs of behaviour. I'm going to explain exactly what they are and how they can be used in trauma-informed care in practice. The ABCs of behaviour are a basic unit of analysis supported by science. They're essentially a way of organising the relationship between the behaviour and the environment. Their official name is the three-term contingency. The three-term contingency has three components. The antecedent is the A, the behaviour is the B, and the consequence is the C. Hence their name, the ABCs of behaviour. Let's break that down a little further. The A stands for antecedent. An antecedent is an environment or stimulus change that happens prior to the behaviour. The B stands for behaviour. A behaviour can be anything a person does, including how they move and what they say or how they think and feel. The C stands for consequence. A consequence is an environment or stimulus change that happens after the behaviour. This can be any change, including changes that are desirable and changes that are undesirable. Let's take a look at an example. Ruby's foster carer asks Ruby to put her shoes on for school. This is the A, the antecedent. Ruby says, "I can't, can you do this for me?" This is the B, the behaviour. Ruby's foster carer helps Ruby put her shoes on. This is the C, the consequence. You can see how the B, the behaviour, follows the A, the antecedent, and whatever comes after the behaviour is the C, the consequence. Let's take a look at another example. Joe is completing maths problems in class. Joe reaches a maths problem he finds difficult and cannot complete. This is the A, the antecedent. Joe starts throwing paper at his classmates. This is the B, the behaviour. Joe is sent out of class. This is the C, the consequence. This may be an ABC contingency you're familiar with seeing from your children. It's definitely one we see in various forms from children referred to our clinic. So why is it important to understand the ABCs of behaviour? All behaviour, and remember behaviour includes how we act, think and feel, is affected by environmental changes. In particular, changes that occur prior to and immediately after the behaviour. So the A, the antecedent, and the C, the consequence. The antecedent plays a critical role in learning and motivation. Antecedents help us learn what behaviour is needed and can also motivate us to engage in certain behaviour. Something to remember about antecedents is that our responses to them are often subconscious. They're not planned and we're not aware of them. They're learned through environmental experiences, and that's where the C, the consequence, comes in. Some consequences, especially those that happen immediately and are relevant to the individual's current motivations, have a significant influence over future behaviour. Essentially, what happens after a behaviour influences if we will engage in that behaviour in the same or similar circumstances in the future. Let's take a look at the previous example from Ruby. Ruby's foster carer asks Ruby to put her shoes on for school. This is the A, the antecedent. In this example, Ruby isn't motivated to put her shoes on herself. So instead of putting her shoes on, she displays a different behaviour and says, "I can't, can you do this for me?" The antecedent of asking Ruby to put her shoes on has prompted Ruby's subsequent behaviour of asking for help. In this example, Ruby's foster carer then helps Ruby to put her shoes on. This is the C, the consequence. Consequences can have an impact on future behaviour. In this example, if Ruby continued to ask for help in the future, we would know that this help is a desired outcome for Ruby, and the consequence of providing help has affected her behaviour. Something to remember about ABC contingencies. They happen all day, every day. They shape our behaviour. but mostly we're unaware of them. We're not consciously making decisions how to behave. We're responding to the environment within these ABC contingencies, and that's the case for us and the case for our children. So how does this apply to trauma-informed care? Well, actually there's many ways that understanding the ABCs can help us understand the impact of childhood trauma and help us understand how we can support our children to heal from that trauma. Firstly, considering the ABCs of a traumatic experience children have had can help us understand and empathise with these experiences and work out what they really mean for our children. They can also help us understand how specific behaviours have developed because of traumatic experiences. For example, Joe may have experienced domestic violence at home, and an ABC contingency may have developed where when Joe hears shouting from downstairs, which is the A, the antecedent, this signals him to hide under his bed, which is the B, the behaviour. The consequence of this behaviour is that Joe feels safer and avoids any confrontation. This consequence of feeling safer while in an enclosed environment and avoiding any confrontation, which are both desirable outcomes for Joe, mean that Joe hides under his bed every time he hears shouting downstairs. We can see how this ABC contingency has developed in a traumatic situation and helps Joe protect himself. Secondly, tracking and pinpointing current ABCs can help us determine any patterns that are still happening and why. These patterns can happen even when the traumatic events are no longer present. Tracking ABCs can help us determine if any care or intervention could be re-traumatizing and help us design care and interventions that heal. For example, when Joe is in school, loud noises may impact Joe in a different way to how they impact other children. For him, they may signal, be an antecedent for him needing to retreat to a safe space. Retreating to this space may seem unusual to others, but it's only when in this space does Joe feel safe. Understanding past ABC contingencies can help us understand current ABC contingencies. So in Joe's case, this helps us understand the root cause of any behaviour, and not simply that Joe can seem fidgety and anxious when there are loud noises. They can help us understand how to support him. And thirdly, the ABCs of behaviour are a basic unit of analysis of the interplay between behaviour and the environment. They're the starting point for function-based interventions. Function-based interventions really consider the why behind the behaviour and design effective care and interventions that can really support the child to heal. This is what trauma-informed care is all about and why the ABCs are so important. Here's one final trauma-informed care top tip. The ABCs I've explained here are the ABCs in their simplest form. In day-to-day life, antecedents, behaviours and consequences are much more complex. You can have multiple antecedents and multiple consequences in any given situation. You can also have sequences that run in rapid succession, where it's difficult to pick out when one ends and another one starts. There's also other factors to consider, such as motivational operations, setting events, and functions. So our advice would be that in any analysis that you're doing, that the ABCs be part of that analysis, but they shouldn't be the entire analysis when you're providing trauma-informed care. There's lots of other factors that also need to be considered. To find out more about how behavioural science can support trauma-informed care, subscribe to the Tribe YouTube channel for trauma-informed care in practice.